opportunities.
And we're back.
Big week, another opportunity. Crazy times in the markets. Crazy times.
But they give us opportunities, right?
Every time, every time. I've been away for 2 days, so it's I haven't been too active on the current markets. But what I did see were, well, pretty much China getting hit with more tariffs, 245% now. It's going back and forth. Markets are moving. What are your expectations? What are you seeing right now?
Well, if you look at the markets, I think we got to first start with a BTC dominance because, as shared in the Discord, it's just climbing up and up and up. It's almost at a 64%.
Yeah.
I believe the hypothesis is that it should easily go to 68, 70%. And of course, the broader sentiment is, will the alt season come? Of course, the alt season will eventually come, but there is a lot of fugazi happening in the crypto space. So, like in the real stock markets and the real central banks of the system, it's rigged. It's not, something's not right. So, I think some actors are taking, how do you call it, advantage of this. So let's say America taking advantage of this, like introducing tariffs for Europe, Mexico, China, etc., etc. But they have to do this. The reason that they have to do this is that if Trump and his team didn't do this, the US dollar would have been bankrupt by next year. So, long story short, it's temporary because I do still believe in Trump. I do believe that the golden age for America has come, and I do believe that the tariffs will play a crucial role in, the financial stability of the United States dollars. And yes, this will also, we will feel it for Europe, but this is where I have a lot of question marks between, let's say, the West, because you can clearly see the West is divided. You have the US with Trump, and you have Europe, who is like anti-Trump because they say they lost their best friend, for example. I'm like, no, the relationship is ended, but that doesn't mean that you have to cut tie every communication, cut loose every anything, export, import. I don't know. You can just fill it in, but it's all fugazi. But we know this. That's what this is all about. We knew this. We knew that if Trump would win, it would be better for the humanity, but it will come with some backlash, some uncertainty, some doubt, and some anger. And yes, it looks like some how do you call it? Some recession, because a lot of people, they talk about, okay, the stock market's going down, we're losing a lot of billions, but this is it's a necessity.
Yeah. What is the current state of the market? So how are the stocks looking right now? Are they okay? Or they, because I saw some headline, because I've only been reading headlines the last 2 days at least, but a lot of things are happening every day. So the last 2 days can matter a lot, with the current developments. But I read that 1.5 trillion was wiped out again.
Yes, since
So
last night or something.
yeah, so which is kind of funny to me because the markets are so extremely volatile right now. It's actually insane because you lose many trillions, you gain many trillions, and now you're losing 1.5 trillion again. But I am seeing a very strong, basically downtrend for the stocks right now. So that's interesting to see. Perhaps I can share my screen real quick, and we can take a look at pretty much all the stocks that are going right now. So this is the S&P 500. Basically,
You're not sharing your screen yet. We're still
not yet.
seeing the intro.
Oh, my bad. Okay. There we go.
Yes.
And now we see it, right?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Basically, what we're seeing here is a downtrend. Pretty much made the gain. This was the Trump pump. Pretty much told us to buy, pumped the markets, dropped a bit, regained, but now you're pretty much getting resistance over here, and the markets have dropped again. I'm also seeing quite some gaps, but it's very interesting to me, that also it seems like the stocks are taking a much more of a hit than the crypto currently is, especially when I'm looking at Bitcoin, because Bitcoin is pretty much the market I'm looking at the most. which could be copium, which could be why I'm still so bullish for the crypto market as a whole. But I'm seeing still a gain above the let's say 83,000. Well, not a proper gain to be honest, but we could see a gain today. But we could have seen that for the last week basically. But Bitcoin is holding strong actually, especially compared to all the altcoins and to basically the stocks as well. I wonder how gold is performing, because gold is,
It's
I
steering.
guess,
It's ripping.
yeah, it must go
Yeah,
up,
man.
right? Yeah. So this is very promising to me in a way, because it means that Bitcoin is holding strong, right? But at the same time, gold is holding strong, and it's doing much more than that. It's actually increasing in value over the last few weeks, I should say, many months actually. So that's very interesting
Interesting.
to see. I think it says a lot about the market, because right now the markets pretty much are dropping, right? Because the stocks are dropping. But at the same time, we're seeing a lot of the basically risk-off assets, which we can call Bitcoin right now, are standing strong. So I see a bright future for Bitcoin, which is very important, because a lot of people, they are currently a little bit disappointed about the crypto markets. But when I'm looking at what's happening right now with the tariffs, the trade war still going on, I was getting kind of hesitant reading the headlines and seeing what is going on in the market. But now looking at the charts for the very first time in like 2 days, it doesn't feel too bad for crypto. It's almost like we took all the hits already.
I would like to agree with it, but if you were sharing your screen with
Mhm.
the BTC chart, and
I can share it again,
I have little concerns. Yeah, please do it, because
or
we
you can
did.
share it, but this.
No. If I share it, there's too much
Okay.
chisels in my chart.
Okay. Hold on.
The Bitcoin.
Sorry. Okay. And then
Because if
there we
you
go.
look at the chart, doesn't the lower low concern you, which was made like a few weeks ago?
This one, the
Yeah,
lowest low of
yeah.
the local trend, basically.
And
Well,
you could call it a double bottom, since a few days
uh,
after it didn't go as low, but
mhm.
the confirmation for this would be a high above 89 or 90K, right?
It
So
depends, because it's a double bottom on the 4 hour, but those are very weak levels, especially in the period we're in. So I prefer to look at the daily, and then it's just 2 wicks. So you could consider it a double bottom, but for me, what's important to me is that we're staying strong, and especially compared to other markets, how low are we actually going? Because especially since January, if you take a look at how much the Bitcoin price decreased up until that point, it's just, I know it's a lot, but it's just 32%. And I recall saying so many times during different periods where Bitcoin decreased and went down in value. It's the same here. It's a 32% drop. Over many months as well, and we're kind of seeing the same right now. So I'm not saying we cannot go lower. I'm not saying I'm not slightly worried and feel fear myself as well. I'm not saying that the altcoins are doing their best, but I do think, especially considering what's happening in the world right now, Bitcoin is holding up quite strong. And of course, I prefer to go back in the 90K plus region. That would pretty much give a much safer feeling, right? But that would be too easy, especially in crypto.
too easy? Why would it be too easy?
Because if the prices are higher, then more people are confident. And usually in these moments when the markets are hesitant, they're awaiting, they're terrified of what Trump is going to do. In fact, it's actually, I think, Trump's strategy to be unpredictable. And you could say and argue, which has been a lot of speculation about it as well, that Trump is actually trying to crash and lower the markets. So considering all these things, a 32% since all-time high. It's not even that we're, considering from a different point in time, but actually from all-time high, we're just at a 32% drop. And I remember all the fear in moments like these as well, which only has been 20%. Usually when and I know this is a very long time ago, it's in 2023, but all these moments where fear was high as well, it's just been a 20% drop. So we've seen a lot of fear over the last 2 years, but now fear seems to be the greatest, while Bitcoin shows the most strength, in my opinion. So I'm not too worried actually about crypto. And what I mean by people, otherwise it's too easy. Usually, people always say in crypto that you're lucky, right? If you make some money in crypto, but it has been the same every cycle over and over again. And I'm not talking about how the cycles go, but I'm talking about how people respond, how they look at the markets, when they take action. It's the same thing over and over again. Always, it's always the same.
Yeah, I think this time is gonna be different. Why? Because we know that in 2020 the markets were manipulated, and we know that we had some super cycle in 2017. So if you combine these two with each other, then I think that what we're gonna get is like a mix of 2020 and 2017 super cycle combined together, and this makes us an extended cycle. So my point is, these are opportunities that are, in my opinion, once in a lifetime. Because those of you who follow the channel, we've talked continuously about how Bitcoin will solve most of our problems in this era that we're living in. High tariff, high percentage, how do you call it, rent, fat rates. And it's a solution. We got Americans coming up front saying, hey, we're going to buy 1 million Bitcoin over the next 4 years, and we're going to solve our debt crisis with it. What's going to happen when the EU hears about this? Because EU now is like 10 years where America is right now, 10 years before, where they are in the position to print a lot of money. That's what the States did maybe 30, 40 years ago, I don't know. But the EU is taking those steps now. So knowing that what we know about the history, then we know that the EU is destined to be doomed. Because look what America's doing. It took America 40 years to realize that what they're doing isn't correct, and they need to change it, for example. The EU is going to take another 30 years. So my point is, this is we say that consciously a lot of times, Bitcoin is on its way to like be a matured asset and to be something meaningful in this economy, where the economy was fueled by gold. Bitcoin is just better. So a lot of people who talking gold is good, of course gold is good, but Bitcoin is just better. We need to accept this because we're going to a digital economy, digital assets, and most important, this was CZ, I'd like to quote on this, the ex-CEO of Binance. He said, AI bots, they will not be trading fiat money. They will be trading cryptos. So cryptos or CBDCs, I don't know which category you want to go in, but fiat, they won't be doing anything with fiat. So fiat's going to go away. A new economy is going to exist right in front of our eyes. Everything's going to be tokenized and digitalized. And Bitcoin is going to be the asset that's like a lot of money worth, because it is the real store of value in this digital economy. Now, that being said, time is ticking up, because that's what this is all about, right? Time is ticking up. We don't have a lot of time left to position ourselves accordingly. So it's an opportunity of a lifetime. Maybe we say that like every cycle we're saying this, like, hey, buy low, sell high, but this is the truth. This is the reality. And if the reality is that this new cycle, or the cycle that we're in, is going to be evolving in a mix of the 2017 run and the 2020 run, then this is going to be one hell of a ride that we're in. And most people, they're not ready for it. They can't see it yet. And that's what I really like what you said, that most people think we get lucky in crypto, but it's not about luck. It's about seeing what's going to happen and being there before the herd is there, because the early word gets the burn. Right? So, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. But I was in Japan last 2 days, where I am all the time. But I was in Tokyo at a Web3 and AI summit for 2025. Unfortunately, I was not able to listen to the speeches because they were speaking in Japanese. I was hoping English, but made sense that they're speaking in their own language, of course. But I did interview a lot of people, and I will put out the video somewhere end of this week, maybe next week. But what was so interesting to me is that I asked a lot of questions about the current market, but also about Trump, how they're looking at these developments and kind of things. And I'll save most of the answers, but a lot of people, almost everybody, thought we were still in a bull market, that we will see higher prices later this year or next year. There was barely anyone, if at all. I can't remember who was saying. I believe there was one person who would be happy if we went back to 109K or 100K, and that would be it, you know. But all other people I interviewed, and I think I interviewed like 15, maybe 20 people, you know, so not a low amount, not too much, but a a good group to get a grip on what the people are thinking there. They all believe we're still in a bear market, or sorry, a bull market, and they all believe we're going to see higher prices. And what was an interesting conversation I had was with a woman in crypto. And I asked her, what did she think about Trump? You know, it was a common question I asked everybody. And she pretty much said she didn't agree too much with Trump and blah, blah, blah. We had a wonderful conversation because I was sharing, you know, the different perspectives of what is possible in the markets and if it's good or bad. And she was kind of opposite of Trump's, you know, actions. But she asked me what I was thinking of Trump, and I gave her an answer that I think is worth sharing, because when you look at Trump and what he's doing right now, you either agree or you disagree. There's literally no one who has an in-between opinion, you know, or at least all the people I talk about, they're very strongly opinions about Trump. Either way, you know, they're either for or they are against. So imagine that you are the president of of America, and you would look at the things that you mentioned before. The America is not on the right path. They have an immense debt. They need to fix it, otherwise the government will collapse. What would you do? Honestly, what other options do you have? Because most of the people I spoke today and yesterday, they said, well, yeah, if I were talking to people who disagreed, they were saying, yeah, well, I don't really agree with Trump. I think they should, you know, find a middle ground or a way to, you know, take their time and talk through it. But do they have the time? And I'm not saying this is the right way, and I'm not saying that Trump could prevent it, because he's pretty much handed the economy as it is, the country as it is. But he does get a situation where he almost has no choice to act the way he does. And I still am very convinced that if you compare the current situation of Trump with someone else, so let's say, for example, that Biden was chosen again, or Kamala Harris won, you know, but especially Biden. Do you really think that Biden was able to fix the country, to solve the debt, to get things done with China? You know, these are things that you should also consider, you know. And I'm not saying that you should be a fan of Trump, even though I am, you know, I support him fullest, and I love what he's doing. And it's also pretty amazing to me to see how people keep responding to the thing that's in front of them. So, for example, when the tariffs were lifted for the iPhones and the chips, smartphones, these kind of things, there was a lot of criticism, you know, on TikTok and on social media, that Trump was again changing his mind and blah blah blah. But they don't see the tactics that they're running. They don't see that he's actually trying to be unpredictable. They don't see that. Yes, you are right. They are dependent of chips. They are dependent on phones. So why not make an exception for those things, you know, and at the same time still raise the tariffs? So it's kind of funny to me to see how people respond and don't get the greater picture or the end goal in mind, and express opinions all the time, you know. So I think that a lot of people are responding to just the thing that's happening in front of them. But I honestly believe that if we fast forward a few months, and I'm curious where the whole thing with China will go, because it doesn't look like they're backing down either, and they're pulling some very good strings. They stopped sending meat. They stopped sending, I think, the rare earth minerals.
Minerals. Yeah.
So there are so many things that they control as well, which is so it's a very interesting thing to see. And somewhere I'm obviously rooting for Trump, because if Trump is a success, then I believe that he will make crypto a success. And I am against the policies that Europe is doing. So if someone is showing Europe that they should pretty much shut up and do differently, I can only support Trump in what he's doing right now. But I think China is a very respectable and strong player as well. So I'm so curious how this will go, because I'm not saying that Trump will win this thing with China. I do think that China is pretty much doing what Trump wants them to do, because he expects. I think he has planned this way ahead. People are saying that he doesn't know what he's doing. I think this is a plan that has been written down 10 years ago or something,
Yes.
with
Yes.
all the scenarios.
But it is confirmed, that he wanted to do this in his first president elect.
Oh,
But
really?
didn't have enough time, yeah. So.
Oh, okay. Share that. What do you know?
No, I need to find an article. I read it like 2 weeks ago or something.
Okay.
That it was. It's not part of the tariffs. It's okay. If we're talking about the tariffs, he was talking about. He introduced this back in 1990s already. So people saying that he doesn't know what he's talking about, they don't know what they're talking about, because I can show you the clips. Let me go on a rant where he said in 1990 that the tariffs will be great replacement for, how do you call it, the belasting, the IRS. Look, I think I got it. I'm going to share it real quick with you, then we can check it with everybody.
I will answer your question later, Martin, by the way.
So this is nothing new what he's doing. This is everything has been known already, but we know that the MSM is in hands of the other party that doesn't like Trump. We know that if they give Trump free reign, their whole Fugazi shizzles will collapse. Their fake empire will collapse. So it's very interesting to see how this is evolving, because Trump, guys, he's not making things up. He's saying things that have been said years ago. And the same goes for Doge. Doge was a democratic idea by Biden and Obama, but they never did it. Trump just did it. So it wasn't his idea. It wasn't, he wasn't the one who originated or came with it. It was a Democrat initiative. And now that he's doing it, he's the bad guy? Come on, man, guys. I mean, open your phone.
Yeah, oh yeah, I've seen the videos. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I think Hillary Clinton spoke about the same things. Obama did.
Biden also.
This video, right?
Yeah.
We let Japan come in and dump everything right into our markets and everything. It's not free trade. If you ever go to Japan right now and try to sell something, forget about it, Albert. Just forget about it. It's almost impossible. They don't have laws against it. They just make it impossible. They come over here, they sell their cars, their VCRs, they knock the hell out of our companies. And hey, I have tremendous respect for the Japanese people. I mean, you can respect somebody that's beating the hell out of you, but they are beating the hell out of this country. Kuwait, they live like kings. The poorest person in Kuwait, they live like kings. And yet they're not paying. We make it possible for them to sell their oil. Why aren't they paying us 25% of what they're making? It's a joke. We let Japan come in and dump.
It's a very simple thing, but in 1988, Trump was already on a solution on how to reduce government spending. This is next level. So everybody who's saying Trump doesn't know what he's doing, tariffs this, tariffs that, those people don't know shit. Take it from me.
Yep. So pretty much that pretty much extends the whole idea. He's thinking about this for much longer than 10 years.
And what's the opposite? You get somebody who's like, yes, the Green Deal. We need 1 trillion euros to save the planet. Because we're going to save the planet by 0.00004% with 1 trillion euros. Guys, it's... Sorry.
It's it's insane. So that's why I stay faithful in his ideas, and of course he can make mistakes. He's not perfect. Don't get me wrong, but I do think that he will do a better job than most people will. And of course, there will be blood and there will be sacrifices. And of course, people, I've seen videos of entrepreneurs importing things from China who are not able to afford the stock or the thing they were buying because of the tariffs. Businesses will fall, people will fall, but a lot more people will fall if they let the economy go the way it was going. So you have to make sacrifices, and I agree. If you're the one going bankrupt or not able to pay your bills because of the current trade war, you get the shorty end of the stick. But it's simple. If he didn't do what he's doing right now, not just you, but many more people would fail. So yeah, it's unfortunate, and I live, I live with you. I get it. But let me answer a question real quick. So Martin is saying alt season highly correlates with quantitative easing. I don't agree, and I will show you why. Because it's simply not true. I do agree that it is a positive factor if we were to see quantitative easing.
Lang verhaal
But we
kort, there
have
was no quantitative easing back then.
that as well. But here we have the fat assets, right? So more assets means quantitative easing, less assets means quantitative tightening. And basically, you see the details here from 2008 all the way to 2026. Of course, the chart isn't there yet, but it will go there. So over here, we have the 2020 cycle where we had the COVID crash. And with the COVID crash came the Fed buying treasuries, buying a lot of them, increasing the assets. So over here, we see the 2020 quantitative easing. And over here with 2020, we had, of course, in Bitcoin, if we go to the monthly charts, you will see that in 2020, all the way up from the COVID crash down here, March 2020, all the way to 2021, which pretty much synchronizes with the quantitative easing, you see higher prices. So I agree that it can have, and it most probably will have, a positive effect on the markets if we were to see quantitative easing. However, the last cycle from 2016 or 2017, let's say, to 2018, there was no quantitative easing. But this was a more crazy run than the 2021 run. So it is not the driving factor. You can have an altcoin, an alt season without quantitative easing. So I don't fully agree on the fact that we need quantitative easing. However, I do think that we will see quantitative easing happening, especially if we are entering a recession. And Ian is already expecting a Bitcoin dominance of 70%. And the way it's looking right now, I kind of agree with him because we're seeing the dominance grow. We already left this box I drew a while back, which was pretty much up until the 63%. We're at 64 almost. We're pretty much following the range still. And I'm also thinking we might hit 70, maybe all the way to 74% for Bitcoin dominance. So the altcoins will take a hit for sure. I fully agree on this, but a lot of people, they are blindly staring at quantitative easing, and it's not necessary for the markets.
Ja, facts. Niks aan toe te voegen.
So yeah, basically, Impel is saying the same. We only don't have quantitative easing. The money printer is already on. What's the lowest you see Bitcoin dominance going this cycle, Mike and Ian?
The lowest?
The lowest.
Shit,
So
I guess we need to get the high first.
Yeah, but I think that you're referring to the peak alt season then, right? Because I do have it. I do have scenarios in my chart, but let me just.
I think this is where it gets very interesting. I know, Impel, very good question, Impel, because now the gates will open. Please, Mike, take it away. I'm just gonna add when you're done.
Okay. So this is my chart, just so you know that Ian might talk about something else. But over here, I drew these scenarios way back. So pretty much we have a bearish dominance, which is between 45 and 40%. Then from 40 to 35 is what I'm expecting. And then we have a mega bullish situation where it's actually all the way down to 30, 35 or lowest 30. But what I would like to add is that I was expecting a regular cycle where we would just hit alt season, not a little while back, I think somewhere in January or maybe even December, and that just would be the start of the alt season. However, we are not seeing that. So this current situation changes a bit as well. I think we might see an extended cycle. My expectation was that we would see the top of the bull market at least in November somewhere. So it's kind of crazy because we're deviating from a lot of things right now in the market. So if the dominance actually goes this low, that's a question we can only see
Yeah,
happening in real
that's
time.
what I want to jump in, because
Mhm.
let's talk about some hypothetical scenarios, right?
Mhm.
So let's say the biggest bull run. Okay, wait, let's take a few steps. Let's say Bitcoin dominance goes to 70%.
Mhm.
This means, okay, the alts, they bleed heavily, but let's make it a little bit more tangible. Let's say Bitcoin goes to 200k, 300k at a dominance of 70%. Or do you think this is too much? Let's say 100k, right? So in this move from where we are right now to 70%, we're going to go up from here to 100, 150k. My point is, if the dominance drops to 35, 36% from 70%, and the more total market cap was sitting at like 4 billion, maybe 5 trillion, 5 trillion, people have no idea how big of a crazy alt season we will get. And that's why I'm suggesting that the craziest alt season will happen ever if Bitcoin hits 70, because yes, it will correct to below 40. I don't know. No one knows how far it will go, but people don't understand the opportunities that are going to coexist with Bitcoin achieving this high level. And that's what I want to zoom in, because Chainlink, Avalanche, Ondo, all these coins that will have real world value and real world propositions, and they will offer real world services for problems in the real world, they will go bonkers. Bonkers. And this is very important. Why do I say this? Because at the moment, first, it is a Bitcoin fueled run. Second, no belief in alts. And third, no, everybody's thinking that the alt season is never coming. But they're wrong, because again, if Bitcoin hits 70%, there will be a alt season, guys. It's not like, how do you know this? It's just how it works. Because you have a front runner, you have the first asset that shows how it's done, and then investors get interested. Hey, what is this? Mike, it looks like we're 2017 all over again, man. Like, okay, what is this? Bitcoin's nice, but now when I got big Bitcoin, digital gold, I want some digital oil. Let's say Ethereum or XRP, for example. I don't know. It's just investors' mentality. It's just psychology, how they work, think. So if that's the case, then believe me, Chainlink, Avalanche, all these things, they're definitely going to go bonkers. Like a few thousand, and it's really hard to comprehend since the price right now is $10. So I want to zoom in on that. Never lose faith, guys. If the dominance goes to 70%, we will most likely get the most insane super cycle we've ever seen in our lifetime.
I still think a super cycle is in play. I still think people are highly underestimating Bitcoin. I also asked the price predictions, of course, for Bitcoin at basically the Japan Web3 event, right? To see how are the Japanese people looking at Bitcoin. To be fair, Japanese people are more cautious people, especially the
Conservative.
Japanese. Yeah, conservative, but also cautious. They're
They're
they
PA
just
based.
yeah.
No.
they,
I'm just
they,
kidding.
yeah, no, but I think they need their time, and they're very conservative, like you say. It's but they're also estimating like 200k still for Bitcoin. But I think all these people, especially when we're moving after this time, going to new all-time highs. America starts buying Bitcoin, and there so many things will happen. It's like the domino stones we're talking about for many, many years, Ian. We spoke way before the spot ETF how this will affect the markets, and look what it did. 1 million Bitcoin gone instantly. We will see the same thing happening with when countries starting to buy, when companies start to buy. So I think people are highly underestimating
The
this moment
prices
in
of them.
time. the price discovery and how fast it will go. And this will bring more investors. And let's assume, and I know this is quite speculative, but what if we're right and Bitcoin actually goes to 400K plus or even 800,000? You know, I know this is like the bull super cycle peak target, but what if it does? Everyone will start to be
Still
involved
playing
in
out.
crypto.
It's still playing out. I don't know what people want here, but as you said, we said it a few years ago, and it's still playing out. In the recent podcast, like last year or 2 years ago, we had some checklists for the super cycle. It's still on point, guys. The only difference in what we're seeing is the factor
Trade war.
X. No, the X, the time, because we don't have no impact on time. Did you read? Did you read, Trons? Sorry, a different side quest, that the U.S. government has ability to craft space and time?
Yes, I
What
saw a
the
TikTok, but I didn't. They had space and
What?
time, space and time editing weapons, right? Or
Yes. What the fuck?
but is it
But
true
wait, wait,
though?
wait, 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 wait. If this is the case, guys, then you understand that my thesis is correct, right? Because if the only factor is the X, which is time, which we have no impact on, and these people, they can manipulate time and space, my friends, then the vision is clear as day. This was the missing piece in my whole hypothesis, how you want to call it, because you maybe think, not you, because you know that what we're saying is correct, but most people think I'm crazy. Ian, what are you saying? But they don't know that where I'm coming from, this is my life. For the past 8 years, I didn't get anything but dirt thrown at my name. I didn't get anything but my flowers stamped on the ground in my garden. So instead of throwing dirt, just throw some flowers on my name, man. You know. But it's crazy to see how this will evolve. But I'm curious. I don't know if this is true. The space and time bending equipment / tools, because they also said that the CIA in the 1970s abducted aliens. They went to stone. I don't know if all these classified documents are true, man. This is too much tinfoil hat, fugazi chisels, and I think it's deception of what's important.
To be quite speculative on these subjects, of course, we can only guess, but it is fun to me to guess about them because the same with the pyramids, right? That they figured out some more information, that there are actually huge cylinders beneath them. We can already establish that they were not built by the Egyptians. This is something that I forgot the documentary's name, but Graham Hancock, the archaeologist, has been exposing in this Netflix documentary for a long time. There probably has been a lost civilization before ours, and you know, there are so many old civilizations who already have mappings of the stars and the skies, things we don't even understand completely today, you know, where there are planets showing which we cannot see with proper equipment, but then a few years later when technologies improve, they actually are there, you know. So there are so many things still undiscovered, and I've heard Trump say a while back that they had weapons which, you know, people simply cannot comprehend or even understand right now, that they're way more powerful than they are. But at the same time, how much of it is true? Because at the same time, the US Army is kind of what's holding the US standing strong, you know. So it's difficult to, you know what's true. But at the same time, they are destroying Hawaii with lasers, you know.
Exactly.
So
Or did you see that about the full women they sent to the space?
yes,
Do you,
the Jeff Bezos, you mean, right?
is this real, Mike?
You know, I had a crazy feeling about the videos because it just seems so odd to me. But you know, space and space travel is also like a rabbit hole
Hmm.
where, you know, there are such strong believers and there are such strong disbelievers of actually, did we go to the moon?
No, we never
Because
went to the moon. We never went. You know
I
this.
agree,
Don't say
of
did we. We
course.
never went to the moon. So stop. We never went to the moon. Okay.
So, but you know what surprises me, and the thing is with the two persons, because there's so many videos debunking NASA, you know, and also, you know, what's funny to me is that if you don't have gravity, your hair should move like you're underwater, you know, it should follow you around. But with all the NASA videos, they gelled up their hairs, They're just standing up straight. But you know what confuses me a bit though? Is that if space travel is fake, this also means that Elon Musk is fake.
No, no, wait.
But
You
no,
need,
no, wait.
you need
Let me
articulate.
add something.
Yeah,
Let me add something because he rescued the two people who were stuck in space. But I know for a fact that the woman is fake. Not the woman herself, but she's doing fake shit with NASA, you know, and she has been debunked. And you know, the debunks go pretty obvious, you know, like dropping a screw and it drops to the floor, you know, or people just walking in and out of a green screen. You know, you can't. They are fake, you know,
Yeah,
obviously fake.
exactly.
So if that woman is doing these kind of practices, then and she got rescued from space, and it's an AI generated video, and dolphins swim by, and it's like the most fake shit you ever seen, which is done by SpaceX. It makes you think, you know. So that's kind of something that bothers me a little bit. But you wanted to correct me, so correct me, please. Save my Elon
Okay.
Musk.
First of all, yes, space. Everything that we know about space is fake. Everything that NASA told us about space is not real. Why? Because NASA is a government, CIA, something, which get paid like 1 billion per day to make us believe that the moon is real. So if you have the time, please look at all these four. You can only look at the last one. I think it was Al Greenspan. No, who was this guy's name? Who went to the moon?
Buzz Aldrin.
Buzz Aldrin. Yes. He confirms that he never went to the moon, and he says it to this child. Nice. Maybe we can look at this clip.
So we never went.
That's not an 8-year-old's question. That's my question. I want to know what I think I know. Because we didn't go there, and that's the way it happened. And if it didn't happen, it's nice to know why it didn't happen. So in the future, if we want to keep doing something, we need to know why something stopped in the past. We wanted to keep it going.
But we're going back to the moon to try to learn what all we need to do to sustain human life under very adverse and hostile conditions.
And what's interesting is this is just one example, because he's admitted this multiple times. So it's not just this one video, you know, he's saying this over and over. But still, it's crazy to me. But why is Elon Musk then?
Yes, because as I said, there are articles stating that NASA is getting paid like $1 billion per day to like deceive us that the moon is real and space is real. So here comes Elon Musk into play, with Elon and his whole ships sending and coming back, and sending the Tesla Roadster into space and coming back. Why do I believe that this is true? Simple, because my eyes tell me it's true. Let me explain a little bit. How come that we had clear image? When did you go to the moon? 1970, they say. In 1970, they went to the moon. And how come you had Nixon talking on live television with somebody on the moon? How come it's 50 or 60 years later, 59. And we can't even get a live coverage from the NASA beginning of this year? Did you see the video of NASA of this year? It's all fake. It's all fake. My point is, Elon, he's just putting cameras on top of his rocket ships and sending them into the space and coming back with the images that they captured. It's different than, it's really difficult to explain, but there is no green screen. And just like with Jeff Bezos' team of women he sent, or who just landed last week or this week, it's also fake. Because how can you tell me that 5 ladies wearing a normal suit, walking a catfish model-like something, without space helmets, going into space in such a small ship? Did you see the ship that they went in? The aircraft? It doesn't add up. It doesn't add up. It just doesn't add up.
I did see one video of the SpaceX car being sent into space, and then
Wait, let me
you
check.
saw that it was in a studio, man.
SpaceX videos.
SpaceX car in space studio.
Okay, I just found this. I just found this.
Okay,
and then you would think, okay, Ian, how do you know? Well, let's just look at it.
Okay. Can you see it? Okay, now you're seeing it. You see it now, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
But no. We see a different clip. Something is playing a TikTok video, but it's not the same.
Oh, let me share my screen.
Yeah.
It's crazy up here. It's so much fun.
The whole
It is
thing, or just this?
mind-blowing.
No, you can check it. You can just skip through the. It's just Alex Jones covering it. He's showing two things. That one, SpaceX is really in space, and two, the Earth is not flat. So yeah.
Say, well, why have they of space, real tourism? They say, oh, that's the, and it follows things. And I've sat there and watched Jupiter is on one end that believe two men can have a baby. That molten object does, and the Earth is. And again, my dad was about 12, turning, and turn much more water, but it's
Yeah, it's just a basic clip. Yeah.
Mhm.
But if you want some more, I can send you some more. Because everything's on X. They just record everything. Because Elon, he knows this. I mean, if you know that they're gonna fake a moon landing, right? You're gonna make sure that you have cameras every fucking where of your aircraft, so that you know that we record everything. It's simple, right? But if it's recorded or made in a studios, then of course it's basic knowledge that you won't have to do all that much work, because it's all filmed, it's staged, it's scripted, it's not real.
Interesting. But then why would he work together with NASA to?
See, that's the part that I don't understand. And of course, Elon, nobody understands Elon. But I think they have to, just like how the FBI and the CIA or government institutions place there or organs, which you cannot go around. You cannot function in the field of expertise that you're in, let's say spacecraft. You cannot start yourself without combining with them together or something. I don't know.
Yeah. Okay.
But that's my thing. I don't know. Just that's not factual. Just me thinking out loud with
I understand.
clear thinking.
All right. I want to answer a question of Martin, because he said maybe not needed for an Ultron, but it is needed for an alt season. The two other major alt season needed it. Just one other, because there has only been one other when there was actually quantitative easing, which is my point. But also there are way more coins, so there is much more money needed. Most alts will not hit their all-time high. I fully agree on you that most altcoins won't hit their new all-time high. I fully agree that a lot of money will get divided and give diminishing returns over all crypto there are. But I don't believe that we will need a quantitative easing to see higher prices. I do think, like you're trying to say as well, is that if we have it, we will have an amazing cycle for especially the coins that people are interested in. But the first cycle, the total market cap was way lower and way less crypto assets, so way more easy to pump. That's true. That's very true. That's the reason why we saw it. But I do think that we don't necessarily need it, Are you guys following any teams enabling Bitcoin layer 1 programmability? Not really, but I do think that
Sovereign, no? Sovereign
yeah,
is something with enabling smart contracts for Bitcoin blockchain.
yes, or rootstock, these kind of things. But I do think that I prefer to see different developments. For example, something like ICP, where they're integrating native Bitcoin in their ecosystem. And what kind of because when I've been only using Stacks, which is pretty much a layer 2 on Bitcoin, right? But what I don't necessarily like is that you are dealing with the block time that Bitcoin is giving you. So unless I'm misinformed and not seeing the full potential of it, I would prefer to see faster and better Bitcoin smart contracts. But if you have suggestions, let me know, of course, because then I would love to see it. Cardano?
Yeah, man. A lot of people from the Cardano went to Cardano. Wait, let me find article enabling Bitcoin smart contracts. I think hier is Charles Hoskinson explaining it. Let me drop it. Ik heb hem net gedropt in de. But of course, there needs to be a lot of things need to be changed, etc., etc., etc. But Cardano is creating a bridge for enabling Bitcoin liquidity for smart contracts. This puts Cardano on top, guys.
It's like 100% with Bitcoin, but it uses ADA under the hood too. Everybody wins. Spread the news. All right, interesting. Recent post as well.
I found it. These guys, Bitcoin OS. They're a ZK empowered open software merging Bitcoin, Cardano, Arbitrum, and more. Let me check if I can find
Interesting.
it.
And Martin is saying ETFs changed the game. Ethereum ETF has no demand. That's because Ethereum sucks, bro. It sucks. But what you know what's so interesting to me? Every time I go to like these crypto networking events, it can be in the Netherlands, it can be in Japan. They are always so optimistic about Ethereum, and usually when I ask about the altcoins they say they have Bitcoin and a little bit Ethereum. It's seldom people actually own other crypto projects as well. You know, it doesn't happen that often. So that's very interesting to me. You know, to see that the people are not actually that involved with what's happening in the crypto market. You know, it's almost like these people only exist in the digital realm. I never meet them in real life. You know, which is crazy to me.
I think it's a mentality shift, man. I think that in the West, the people, let me say it different. I know in Asia that a lot of people, they are a little bit anti-government. They know that the government has not the best interest for them. So they automatically watch less news. They do more critical thinking. They think for themselves, etc., etc., etc. But yes, the government still has impact in the things they do, they watch, and all that kind of stuff. So I think it has something to do with that they know for one that what the government is, if they're saying buy this, then you don't have to buy it or don't use it or don't take it. But that makes them a little bit conservative in what other possibilities there might be, I think, in my opinion. Because if I could give an example, they don't think, I don't know if that's true. Maybe they see Bitcoin going to 1 million in the next 20 years, for example. Maybe they won't say 5 years because they don't know what the total overview of the world is and what roles Bitcoin is going to play. I.e., for example, I don't know, because they think, yes, it's a way to get freedom of the government. It's a tool against government spending, etc. But they don't know, because they don't watch the news, again, that the whole system is fucked, if I may call it like this. So maybe in that point of view, they don't think that, it's going to go to 1 million way sooner than most people think. But they're on the right path. We definitely need to look at what the Asians are doing, the Eastern society of humans, because somehow they're doing something good. They age, they look nice, they age, the skin is nice, the hair is nice. So I don't know, man. In the Western, we're getting sick by the things we eat, the things we drink, the medicines they give us. So it has definitely got something to do with that.
For saying also fucked with mantra. I had a hard Sunday. Yeah, I feel bad for you. Luckily, I didn't have the coin. I do think that this could have happened to the best of everyone because, the team was present in local crypto events. I've read in hindsight, but I wasn't in the coin, so I didn't follow the developments that closely. So, but in hindsight, people said that they were warning for changed tokenomics. So there were signs, but this proves again that you should do proper due diligence, and even then you can still get scammed in crypto. a team can go rogue and pretty much rob you of your funds. I'm not sure what the actual reason is, because I followed it the same day, which was Sunday exactly. And Monday, I've read some headlines and some early analysis, but usually when time develops more, or the actual reasons actually come to light. So not sure if I'm fully aware of the situation, but I was busy the last 2 days, so didn't really quite read up on them.
Yeah, it has something to do with the high flow, that there were a lot of coins still being held by the team, or was going to be given out.
Yeah, I read that they did some OTC deals, right? So they
Yes.
sold the coin for way less than the actual price, and they had market makers
And everybody started
manipulating it.
dumping. Yeah, they just started
So
dumping the shit out.
liquidations hit, early investors or OTC buyers sold, pretty much dropping the coin. So it was some strange cascade of over leverage and liquidations. Yeah, something like that, So not too sure about it, but I feel bad for everyone involved. This was something I think you could not have predicted. Maybe there were some signs, but I think 95% of mantra holders just got fucked, which is a shame. But I hope that we won't see too many of these things happening. But every cycle, especially in Web3, they will continue to happen. And the smarter and easier Web3 gets, the more scams you'll see. But eventually, as scammers learn, investors also learn. So that, and I think these kind of events are also making for projects and older projects with some track record valued even more, because even with the legit projects, there are hacks in the ecosystems. The bridges get hacked, or something leaked, or there is some kind of exploit. So I think that this will put more trust in the current market as well. So for example, Solana, the Sui, the Avalanche, these kind of players, Cardano, you mentioned before. So not necessarily the coins that will make you rich from now, but that's also the point we're at right now. We're kind of going to see adoption. We're kind of seeing a market that grows. So it's also the time in the market where players actually stay, because we've been seeing new players from 2017 to 2021, but now we're seeing the same faces stick around, or the same teams and the same projects. So I think people are too focused on the next new thing that will make them rich, crypto rich.
Thanks.
But I think that staying focused on the actual fundamentally well-driven teams that are already working well, and that's also something I try to teach the community and talk about on the socials for a long time. Everyone, especially when it comes to layer ones, they have a new faster one, but the ones that are already there, I know that when Ethereum was there and the transaction fees were costing $100 to do a simple transaction, or a simple activation of a smart contract, swapping, whatever, the most simple things, they cost you hundreds of dollars. Okay, then you need innovation. But right now, when I look at Avalanche or Solana or whichever, pick one, they're all cheap, they're all fast, you get it done in pretty much a minute. And yes, there will be a future where you might need instantaneously finalizing things, or we need developments on these actual layer ones. But I don't really see a new use case for another layer 2 or another layer 1 or another, make it work, build the applications, get the ecosystem flowing. We need the regulations, which is going on right now. But I also think that we're now at the phase where the ones that are there, they will continue to grow, especially if you're looking at Ethereum. So many people are still naming Ethereum. So just imagine an ecosystem that actually works a lot better, doesn't have some weird fuck at the head of it. I think these are very important developments to see, and which we will see.
Yeah, that's fully agree with you on it, man.
Mm-hmm. Martin is saying, still waiting for Trump to announce something like no tax on American-made coins. Yes, I fully agree, and I do think that we will see new life blown into the crypto space because of Trump, because of what America is doing in crypto. But right now, all eyes are on the tariffs. They're not focused on crypto. Crypto is just like their side thing, The main focus is the economy. The main focus is reducing debt. The main focus is earning more money. The main focus is reducing government spending. There are so many higher priorities. Closing the borders, cutting illegal immigration, building prisons in El Salvador. So we're seeing that. So it's not like those things are lacking right now. It is exciting and probably a bit scary for most people. But I do think this is something we want to see.
I like to jump in on it because no tax for American-made coins. My friend. What if I'm telling you that Trump, he's going to dismantle the whole IRS? So
Nice.
in no time, my friends, you won't even pay no income revenue. And you can see it in this is a US debt clock. You can see, I don't know if you can see my mouse, but the income revenue tax and the corporate tax revenue, they have been blocked out. They don't have a color anymore. Of course, it's still going up. But the meaning of this is that they are taking steps, actions to dismantle the IRS and dismantle the corporate tax revenue. And how he's going to do this, or how is the country going to run sufficiently? By tariffs, guys, by tariffs. So coming back to your question, still waiting on tax on American-made coins. My friend, if you're an American citizen, you won't even pay taxes anymore. Just get that straight. In Europe, in the Netherlands, we pay like 40, 50, 60%, depending on how much you earn. But also, recent news, we pay more tax on our energy than on our used energy in the Netherlands. But that's something I don't want to go into much, but just saying, guys, Europe, it's done.
The
Done,
same is
done,
for
done.
benzene, these kind of things.
Done.
People don't understand, it's insane.
It's the, oh yeah, sorry, you can see my mouse. This is what I meant.
Yes, now I can see it.
Yeah. They're gone. They're guys, and I say this last year. People like, no, he cannot dismantle the IRS. Well, did you know that the international tax revenue was also something that was made up? And I've read some rumors, and now comes the tinfoil hat conspiracy theory, because I don't know if this is true. But if, let's say, they do dismantle or abolish the IRS and the corporate tax revenue, and how do you say terugwerkende kracht in English? Let me Google it. Well, I read something where it was said that if you, oh shit, I need to put it in English. Like if you pay, there's busy with something, and they're gonna give it with retroactive effect. Guys, if this is the case, that all your taxes, you're getting it back by retroactive effect, that is how this America golden age will start. Everybody has so much money. People are not going to be worried about money anymore. They're going to be worried about assets, about good food, about good clothing, good products, good cars. This is what Trump is doing. And to be honest, EU is lost. I think we're going to have to meet Trump very soon, Mike. Sooner rather than later.
Yeah, I fully agree. And Marv is saying correctly, if you're still not doubting our government or Europe in total, then the stone where you're under is really heavy.
Facts.
Facts, I fully agree. And this is not new for us. I don't think it's new for our viewers, but that's a valid point. I think the people who, and what's the crazy part? There are still so many, there's still so many people doubting this specifically. Let me see. Martin is responding, no, Marv, that's the story that the scammers are spreading. They dumped altogether. Oh, that's about Mantra.
We just got to wait, right? I mean, how do you know what's true and what's not?
What are you talking about? Mantra or
everybody's going to have their own story, or scammers are going to say this and that. Me, personally, I never hold Om. Mantra, but it's crazy that things happen like this.
Martin, what you're saying right now is something I shared in the VIP, that they should definitely don't underestimate Bitcoin anymore. Bitcoin is there's been a lot of doubt for the last 16 years, ever since Bitcoin existed. I've experienced Bitcoin since 2013, which is 12 years now. For the last 12 years, there was always some sort of risk, governments, criminals, hackers, environmental things, so many critics always had something to say about Bitcoin. But now all doubt is gone. Bitcoin is the winner. Bitcoin is the asset, and you're still ahead of the herd. Still, right now, Bitcoin is it. There's no other better Bitcoin or asset than Bitcoin, and there won't be for perhaps even our lifetimes, you know. So
Er komen 100 years.
this is exactly the golden age for Bitcoin, for America. And I think that it is okay to hold altcoins, don't get me wrong, but I do think in general, you're absolutely right. We should become Bitcoin maxis after coming alt season. And Bitcoin should be the end game. You know, I tell this in the VIP, I tell this in the free courses, in the paid courses. Bitcoin is the end game, always. Exactly, don't need those things. It was from previous. Wasn't Avalanche dealing with the same problems as ETH cost-wise? No. When they were somewhat of competitors, the chain isn't just as much, or am I wrong? No, you're wrong.
Whoa.
You're very wrong, actually, but doesn't matter. You know, it goes for any chain, honestly. You know, you kind of have like generations in chain, and the further the generation, the faster they are, and blah blah blah. But also in this regard, you know, there are so many chains being launched on layer zeros, you know, or like Polkadot or on Cosmos or whatever, and they enter the public saying that they are the new thing or a better chain, but it's all built on the same, you know. So I'm waiting for actual new things to develop, which can take a while. And then there's still the factor of, will people actually use it? Will they actually get adoption? Will developers actually build? Because every time I'm looking at a new chain, they have their ecosystem button, and you can look at the, yeah, like you said, like a new bridge, a new decentralized DEX, a new swap, but they're all the same with a different team, different name. They might be a little bit faster, or instead of 10% of a cent, I'm now paying 1% of a cent. You know, there's how deep do you want to go? You know, so it's kind of we pretty much hit the curve. You know, now it's time for something new. Now it's time for actual adoption. Now it's time for actual games. I don't know. So I'm really looking forward to the things I'm looking forward to are the U.S. government obviously buying Bitcoin, you know, these kind of things. But I'm really looking forward to GTA 6 releasing and it having a integrated NFT market and some, you know, some real, not some fucking mobile game no one plays that doesn't, you know, it's expensive to play. It's a shit game. It's built to make money on the users, you know, these kind of things. I'm looking forward to Call of Duty having an actual NFT marketplace, you know, these kind of things. How are the tax rules in Thailand compared to the Netherlands? The tax rules are quite good regarding crypto versus most countries. We effectively pay 1% every year above the 57,000. So I'm not fully aware of the Thailand tax rules, so I couldn't tell you. Not too sure about those, but I do think that Thailand was becoming more pro crypto. In fact, they had some recent update where they were actually trying to stimulate. I think they might have a crypto visum or something coming up, or new tax rules regarding crypto, but I'm not sure. However, I am definitely going to look at Thailand for being the main spot to be at. So I've been traveling for almost 3 months now, and it's definitely becoming one of my favorite countries so far. But we have still many countries to see, you know. But Thailand is a real great place to have the headquarters at, I would say. Anything else to discuss, Ian?
No, I think that is it, man. Most people are not bullish enough. As long as the Dix is falling, the Fed needs to pivot.
Mhm.
It's a matter of, I think, weeks, months, highly. As you said it always very nicely, in July, you expected the prices go up. I expected a little bit for it, because if the Fed is not pivoting in May, it will most definitely be in June. And as soon as they start pivoting, then risk assets will go completely bonkers. So, oh yeah, I'd like to add one more thing, because there are recent talks about Black Swan event about the tariffs. I must say, I don't think that this was a black swan event. Why do I say this?
Trade war.
Yeah, this is not a black swan event, the trade war.
No. And plus,
So-
you could have predicted it, sort of, you know.
Exactly. So a black swan event is very unpredictable. It suddenly happens and big crashes. And I still think this is in play. It could be a moon landing, the Project Bluebeam. It could be blackout. It could be a new pandemic. I hope it's not World War III, because that would be the most horrific scenario. But be aware that this is not the black swan event. This is just rebalancing, or how do you call it, recalibrating the economic shifting power, or how do you want to say it. And I think the black swan will come next year after, well, let me say it. There should be a black swan event before the system gets reset, because they need something to reset the whole system. And we know that the system is going to get reset. We know that the system is broken. We know that there's too much lobbying, too much money being poured into things that have no real value. So the system is going to get broken, reset. And this will happen by a black swan event. That could be a blackout, could be no internet, I don't know. But mind this, don't go fully all in. Know what you're doing, and yeah, stay safe, man.
Of course. Thanks for watching, everybody. Thank you for being here. Thank you, Ian, for your insights. And we'll see you next time.
Stay safe. Nog steeds. Peace.
If I do crypto, this ain't gambling.